So this is the wrap up for Monday, April 18th. Everything is around the Doha summit, the Doha disappointment, the downfall. The outcome was much worse than expected. Just absolutely no agreement. The Saudis went tough on Iran. Iran didn't even send a high-ranking representative, and also other Gulf countries probably joined the Saudis. In any case, there no decision on output freeze. They didn't decide on anything. Oil prices are falling, perhaps not as much as expected, because Kuwait oil producers are on strike. But this is the big effect in the markets. So looking first and foremost on oil, well, we are seeing some kind of bounce now, but still 37.60 is the low, 39 is the high. A clear weakened gap on WTI crude oil. Canadian dollar weakened gap as well, getting closer. Well, currently trading very nicely in range, at least respecting technical levels. 129.30 to 130 is the current range. High resistance 130.80 and 131.70. Support at 128.30 and 127.50. This is clearly the biggest loser, the Canadian dollar. Also, the Australian dollar is a loser, almost closing the gap, but not there yet. It could have been worse for the Aussie. Support at 76.40, 76, resistance 77.40. This is sort of more collateral damage. Canada is the oil producer, of course. Japanese yen on the safe haven flows, and of course on the tragic earthquakes on Thursday and Friday. Japanese yen is attracting flows. It found support above the 107.65 level. We're seeing the gap around 108.50, resistance still at 109. So we're seeing some moderation there, but it's still Japanese yen attracts flows. There's a gloomy mood in market. Stocks are falling, commodities are falling, commodity currencies are falling, the pound is falling, and the Japanese yen is a winner. Okay, euro dollar very tight in range, perhaps enjoying some very, very minor safe haven flows, but I would call it just plain range trading. Nothing to see here at the moment. A bit frustrating. 112.50 to 113.35 is the range. 114.60 high resistance. 111.50 low support. The pound is getting carried away with commodities and commodity currencies. 141.25 is support, followed by 140.50 and 140. 142.80 is resistance. Talked about the yen, the CAD, Aussie. Kiwi is supported by stronger than expected inflation figures, helping it counter the fall in oil prices, the fall in commodities. So it's basically stable at 69.20, balanced for the day. 69.80 is resistance. 68.20 is support. Just mention Luca's excellent short on CAD yen. Currently, rising just a bit, but all in all, at the peak it fell, or the trough it fell almost 2%. Okay, big weekend gap over there. Big move in CAD yen. Other events over the weekend, we had mentioned earthquakes. Also tragic earthquake in Ecuador, and also in Latin America. Brazil is getting closer to an impeachment of President Dilma Rousseff. It passed the lower house and expected to reach the upper house. Watch out for that space. Also has sort of an impact on commodity prices. And towards the ECB meeting on Thursday, we heard one of the French members, Villeroy, asking Germany to do more. Doesn't have an impact so far, but it will just something to watch towards the ECB. Figures we had on Friday were not so good, especially in the US, with disappointing industrial output and consumer confidence. For New Zealand, it had the biggest impact because it's quarterly CPI. Today, we have Dudley speaking at 2:30. He's the president of the New York Fed and a dove. Let's see how he reacts to oil prices, or maybe not. The housing market index, that's a third-tier figure, and the Australian RBA meeting minutes in the middle of the night. Okay, we have more events, of course, more interesting events later this week. See more questions here. Yohay, how much do you see WTI dropping after a no-go in Doha? Do you think we can retest the 30, 35 level or even test the lows? I think 35 is a level to watch because let's look at the WTI crude oil. Okay, 35 is where we've been early in April before we had that big bounce. But remember, we have this strike in Kuwait. We have production in the US a bit beginning to fall. So it's not all negative for oil prices, but I would say 30 is a bit too far out, but 35 is critical support, and I would expect another wave of selling and to get closer to 35. Okay. Okay, so warning here from Sinatra that we might have an even bigger earthquake in the Pacific Rim. Yeah, not good news. We had, well, earthquakes in Japan and Ecuador, and perhaps we'll have in other places. I hope everybody stays safe. The big shake still to come. You see 40, perhaps 41 being tested. JM. Yeah, perhaps we'll have a bounce in oil prices. Of course, oil prices and also currencies are never a one-way street. The voice that's worrying, dollar yen may drop dramatically. No repatriation if another big one hits Japan. Yeah, well, hopefully these aftershocks are the last earthquakes to come. Technology has advanced a lot in earthquakes, in earthquake detection, but it's still, you never know when a big one is going to hit. Yeah. Okay, anyway, let's take a last look at Eurodollar remains frustrating. We are seeing, yeah. We are seeing some kind of a bounce back in CAD, in the Aussie, in the yen from the initial moves, but all in all, the gaps are maintained. Anyway, that's it for today. Thank you very much, everybody, for coming. Wish everybody a safe and successful day. As always, no earthquakes, well, only in market, not in real life. And unfortunately, we had some bad news this weekend. And yeah, and we'll be here tomorrow. So till tomorrow, that's it. Thank you and goodbye.